Gatwick South Terminal, sniffer dog Badger is examining baggage arriving from the Caribbean. Customs dogs are possibly the most powerful tool in the fight against drugs, and all have their own skills. Badger is known as a cocaine specialist. He gives a clear indication on this black suitcase. The case is put back on the carousel and kept under surveillance. Whoever picks it up will then be stopped and searched to see if Badger's right. A passenger collects the suspect bag and then attempts to pass through the controls. But Customs Officer Phil is waiting for her.
Hello there. Hi. Where have you just arrived from? You travelling by yourself? Can you come to a bench for us, please? It's good to come up to this one here for us. Thanks very much. Your passport, please. Have a quick look. Right, these all your bags here? Did you pack them all yourself? You got a keys, please.
Phil checks to see which is the suspect case and then asks the nervous passenger to open it.
Okay, just going to put this one for our X-ray machine as well, okay?
Phil can't see anything yet, but an X-ray shows what looks like organic material in the wall of the case.
So that's probably what we're looking for. I'll quickly go and do this, quickly go and spike it, just make sure.
Phil finds a white powder, which he tests to see if it is cocaine.
Just see.
The speed of the reaction indicates the quality of the drugs.
It's actually not reacting.
It's gone now. Look. It's
sort of.
It's obviously not very good quality.
That's what we were hoping for, but a bit quicker and a bit more.
The purity is low, but Badger's legendary nose for cocaine has sniffed out another smuggler.
Okay, the time is 07:32. I'm arresting you on suspicion of being involved in the importation of a controlled drug. You do not have to say anything. It may harm your defence. Do not mention, when questioned, something which you later on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand? Yeah.
The woman's face says it all. Bootleggers use ferries to bring in large quantities of tobacco, and officers are cracking down on so-called backy buses. Amongst all the innocent travellers, are passengers offered a free trip away by bootleggers, as long as they agree to carry back the guideline allowance of tobacco, which the organisers then collect and sell on the black market.
Did either of you purchase or obtain anything while you were away?
I just got 100 cedis.
100?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what
And I
about
got
you?
some tobacco.
Yeah, how much have you got?
20
what?
20 packs of 10.
Right, OK. Can I ask you just to pop with them?
Yeah.
That officer just to have a quick look at your bag.
This passenger has 10 kilos of tobacco worth nearly £2,000. Now it's up to the officers to find out if it's for her own use. If not, it will be seized. In Bristol, dozens of flights a day arrive from outside the EU. Officers target these flights to make sure no one brings in more than their allowance of 200 cigarettes to sell on the UK's black market. Usually bags are X-rayed to catch the bootleggers in the act, but today a passenger hurrying through the customs channel alerts Jane, who pulls him in for a chat in the search bay.
Have you got any cigarettes?
No.
None at all? No? Can you just get that one up on the bench and I'll just have a quick look in it, please?
Well, I won't walk away now, just take it.
You have got cigarettes?
Yes.
What? Can you just get that up there?
The initial lie didn't work, and it's closely followed by another.
It's only that one I've got.
Right, OK.
But Jane's having none of it.
Can you get the other case just up on that bench and open it up for me?
Both bags are full of Turkish cigarettes, and the passenger is full of lies.
Have you got any in your hand luggage? Yeah, all right. Yeah. Well, you are, yeah.
We're under arrest, so...
No.
No,
What?
so you can walk away.
Well, we'll do you some paperwork. You are obviously over the allowance, so they are going to be
Obviously,
seen.
it's not against the law to do it.
Well, what I'm going to do is do you some paperwork.
The goods will be seized and destroyed, And if he's had goods seized before, he may face a fine or a prison sentence. In Portsmouth, Nikki's now questioning the ferry passenger carrying 10 kilos of tobacco to work out if she may be carrying it for someone else.
How many times have you been on previously?
I was here last month.
Last month?
No, sorry, September.
Okay.
The 2nd.
Right, and how many times have you travelled on the Bilbao this year?
About 3.
About 3 times?
Yeah.
Okay, have you been stopped by customs before?
No.
No.
A few simple checks tells Nikki that this passenger is also telling lies.
She normally brings in 3 kilos and a full quantity of cigarettes as well. I've done that, but that was back then. Just see if she's been jobbed before. So as well. She's a well-stocked customer.
Lying to a customs officer isn't a good idea, especially if you want to keep your tobacco. But Nikki suspects she's carrying it as part of an organised backy bus.
Some of these are for some of your family?
Yeah.
Okay. And how much money have they given you towards their contribution towards the goods?
They haven't really given me anything because I'll give them gifts, you know, for Christmas.
Right, OK, so you don't expect to receive any payment of any sort for these goods? How much have they cost you?
£340.
£340 for all of it?
Yeah.
Right, OK.
It turns out the woman's travelling on a coach known to customs as one of their regular backy buses. The passenger is offered an interview, but she decides to give up.
Yeah.
OK, you're not under arrest.
I'll leave the stuff. Have you got the passport? Because there's other people waiting to go home, you know what I mean?
OK, so you don't want... Do you want me to detain the goods or do you just want to abandon them?
Just abandon them.
Just abandon them?
Passport, yeah.
OK, so you don't want to stay for interview and you do not want me to detain your goods?
I need to get home. My father needs me and there's people waiting on the coach.
OK, so you just want to leave your goods and walk away?
Yeah.
OK.
Knowing that organisers of backy buses tell their carriers to abandon their goods in case they give too much away in interview, convinces Nikki she's done the right thing. But the woman insists she's done nothing wrong.
It's over. We're not doing no drugs or nothing. You know, shouldn't they? Thank
There's
you.
your passports back. She has been stopped by customs before, even though she claims that she hadn't. I was not happy in my own mind to let her proceed with the goods unless I knew they were for her own personal use, and on this occasion, I don't believe they were.
Back in Bristol, Jane's waiting for the results of background checks on the man caught with 11,000 Turkish cigarettes.
Have you ever been stopped by customs before? Never?
No, I've never been stopped.
So if I check the records now, I'm not...
No.
The checks reveal this to be yet another lie.
Just a record to see if he's had anything seized from him before, or if she's had anything seized from him before. I don't think he has, but he's been stopped before, and he's been issued with a notice 1.
He said to me initially, I said, have you got cigarettes? He went, no. I said, well, I'm going to look in your bags. And he said, oh, they're full.
Oh, right.
And he said that he knows.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I'll just get rid of him, I think.
The man has been stopped before, but it's his first seizure, so escapes a fine. Although he's lost the cigarettes, which will be added to the billions taken off the black market by customs each year.
You could tell that this was for resale because of all the different
brands, yeah. And there was no luggage.
No.
And they were both trying to race through without getting eye contact with anyone. And that was why I went after him, because I think he was trying to get out quite quickly.
Meanwhile, the woman in Gatwick's South Terminal won't be leaving just yet.
Right, just leave that there. Just come around here. Go and take a seat on the far side, please.
OK, do you understand why you've been arrested? No. OK, we found what we believe to be a controlled drug in your bag.
She's keeping quiet. Not surprising, as there's around 1 kilo of pure cocaine in her suitcase.
See, it's all the way around the bag. You can feel it as well, how thick it is.
Good job.
The woman's taken to the custody cells for questioning. If found guilty, she could be facing a long prison sentence. The drugs worth nearly £50,000 have been taken off the streets, and it's all thanks to Badger.
There's always that time between the indication when they actually find it. Sometimes it can be up to sort of quarter of an hour before they actually give you the thumbs up there's something there. That's a bit of a worrying time. but with that indication, more or less knew there was something there straight away.
Still to come, some odd behaviour arouses suspicion in Gatwick.
Okay, has anybody asked you to bring anything back for them?
Not this time.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Coming up, officers board a yacht and find an honest drug smuggler.
And as they stepped aboard, he turned around to them and said, "Oh, right, well, OK, the game's up, there's 6 tons on board."
The UK's airports are where customs make most Class A seizures. Today in Gatwick, officers are waiting for targets suspected of bringing in cocaine from Trinidad. The 2 women could be the first cocaine job ever for new officer Mark.
Nervous because the rest of the team are all going, this is it, this is a job. They've definitely got it. So I'm nervous. Really trying not to be.
2 drug couriers carrying 3 kilos of cocaine were found on this flight yesterday. These 2 women were meant to be on that flight, and their highly excitable behaviour is raising suspicions further.
Thank you. Okay, has anybody asked you to bring anything back for them?
Not this time.
Not this time?
Nah, not this time. We were too naughty to do it this time.
Okay, right. Is it back to work then on Monday?
No, children, we're housewives.
Yeah, got a lot of
small housewives to do. Cooking and cleaning.
Obviously, just flying out somewhere very nice and...
that was horrible.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was
They're so rough and rude.
And their dogs are treated like rats.
And we could be kidnapped. We had to be escorted everywhere we went.
Okay. So this could sound a silly question, but so obviously the tickets for getting out there and staying out there can be quite expensive. How did you pay for your tickets?
Somebody provided us them.
Oh right, that was nice of them. Who was that then? Was that
Tony?
That was nice of him. Why did he do that?
He's got quite a lot of money, to be honest with you.
Their behaviour and their story convince Mark that he's about to get his first cocaine seizure, but the first swab shows no trace.
Completely clear.
Chris joins Mark to dig a little deeper.
Hello.
Christopher.
Oh, really? Right, now, do you need a hand?
Yeah, would you like to sit my one?
Actually, if you've just taken the words out of my mouth.
Or do you want me to
or if you want to pop
for
this
you?
through, just... Yeah, well, it was just...
Oh, yes.
Oh, how exciting.
Not as exciting as it sounds.
I'd like an X-ray while I'm here.
Well, we could actually arrange that if you wish, but not just yet.
We'll cross that. We'll cross that bridge in a minute.
Okay, that looks about done. Okay, I'll take this one away. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get that sorted.
Can I come with you?
That is obviously...
There's something not quite right there. Yeah. The fact is it's not opening and closing properly, which to me is a bit suspicious. Feels a little bit heavy at the bottom here. I'll just have a quick look.
Where are you taking him, Michael?
I'm trying to be as gentle as he can.
The bags are clean, but with so much to gain from smuggling, sometimes couriers carry drugs inside their bodies.
We'll go for a strip search, presumably, rather than... What I'm about to do, I'm going to go and speak to a colleague, because I'm going to ask for somebody to do a search of person.
Search of
Yeah, because of... well, that's not something that we can know. It would just be a visual. It would be a visual inspection. Well, because of where you've come from. Hang on just a second. Hang on just a second. Where you've come from, you've both said to me, obviously, you're housewives, you don't have the money. Obviously, you said Uncle Tony's paid for it. No, that's absolutely fine. But obviously, we come across people that don't have money that other people pay to go out and bring drugs in. So it's something that we need to check.
They're not happy, but a body search will find the truth.
So the quicker I go, the quicker it gets done. All right?
Officers aboard the cutters protect our coastline against drug smugglers, who are a constant but invisible threat. These high-powered ships operate in all weathers, but in September 2000, a storm off the coast of Cornwall drove them back into Falmouth in search of shelter. Always on the lookout for suspicious activity, they noticed another vessel taking refuge from the heavy seas.
The
vessel, rather than coming into Falmouth, it turned and went to the other side of Carrick Roads, which is into a small harbour, which is actually St Mawes.
The officers thought it was a local, but then watched as it tied up in a dangerous position.
As the tide started to go out, they realised that this mooring was actually on a mud bank or a sand bank, and the yacht was actually settling and starting to tip.
Always ready to respond to a fellow sailor in need, the cutter decided to help.
So they launched their onboard rigid inflatable, their rib, motored across into St Mawes Harbour, went to the vessel and challenged it.
The officers had come to help, but the man on board was a smuggler who made a startling confession.
And as they stepped aboard, he turned round to them and said, "Oh, right, well, OK, the game's up, there's 6 tons on board."
The officers' act of charity had paid dividends.
They were completely flabbergasted. The first reaction was, well, what do we do now? And then somebody managed to I better get a notebook out and make a note of this, because effectively I've got a confession already before we go to court. At which point they arrested him.
The skipper was a man called He led them into a cabin to see the drugs for themselves.
There were bales of cannabis literally in every available space within the vessel.
They also found evidence he wasn't working alone.
But 2 passports were actually found on the vessel. So they decided that the best thing to do was to remove him from the vessel. 3 of the cutter crew stayed on board the ketch and wait and see if the crew came back in the morning.
Accomplices did return, right into the trap.
It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. 2 men jumped into the cockpit of the yacht, and basically the cutter crew arrested them there and then.
The men joined their skipper at the police station, where his unusually frank confessions continued.
And he was presented to the custody sergeant. He was then asked, "What's your occupation?" To which he replied, "I'm a drug smuggler."
This time, however, he'd failed. On the day of the trial, all 3 pleaded guilty to their part in the crime.
Mr. was subsequently sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, Mr. to 4 years imprisonment, and Mr. to 5 years imprisonment.
3 more criminals were behind bars, thanks to the keen eyes of the officers and a stroke of luck.
The street value at that time was estimated to be in the region of £14.5 million. At the end of the day, the vessel being forced into Falmouth was really the only reason that we were able to intercept this load. Without that, it's very unlikely anybody would have known that this consignment of drugs was on its way.
Back in Gatwick's North Terminal, Mark is still hoping to find his first drug smuggler. His 2 female suspects are about to be searched. So far, they've cooperated, but the daughter is getting angry.
The search, yeah, obviously I can...
We're going to have a search. As soon as we've had that search, I think we should be able to leave. We've got children to get back to. You're delaying us for no reason. Once you've searched us, you know we have nothing on us, so why are we still holding your custody?
Their story suggests they're carrying drugs, and Mark waits expectantly outside for the results.
Bend over slightly. No, slightly. That's right, and part the cheeks of your bottom.
The strip search finds nothing, but Mark refuses to give up just yet.
A pair of shoes from the lady that we've just searched. I'm going to swab them with our tool that checks for drugs, as it can be an indication that they've swallowed drugs. So I shall do that and get a result. A small indication.
The indication means Mark wants to do a body scan.
0.5, something to think about. With these indications, keen to go for an X-ray, which the mum has already sort of informally said she's happy to do.
What about the daughter in terms of X-raying? Do you think she'll be happy to do that?
She's not happy to be here at the moment.
You don't think they're going to stay? You're going to have to look at arresting them?
Worried about the daughter's reaction to the X-ray, they decide to arrest them.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of being involved with the importation of a controlled drug. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned, something which you later rely on in court.
Who wants to go first then? Let's get moving.
The daughter agrees to be x-rayed first. In just a few seconds, Mark will know if they've swallowed packages of cocaine.
We ain't swallowed nothing, believe you me.
Right.
Against the odds, both scans are clear. And Mark admits that this won't be his first Class A drug bust.
7:58, you're unarrested.
Thank you very much.
Mark and the ladies part as friends.
And you're glad we weren't smugglers, aren't you?
Yes and no.
Why no?
Because I haven't had my first...
Catch of the day.
Exactly. Well, I'm still fairly new at this, and I haven't had my first successful job yet. Not that I'm wishing you particularly were a drug smuggler, but, you know...
And we do understand drugs is very bad in England, and we would not contribute to bringing in drugs. Because my husband died of a heroin overdose, my brother died of a heroin overdose, so I do understand drugs do not need to be in this country. I've got 4 children who I don't want on drugs, you know what I mean? So I'm anti-drugs, and I understand why you have to do this, you know what I mean? And all good on them, all good on them, yeah.
The cocaine smuggler from the South Terminal was charged with attempting to import 873 grams of cocaine. She pleaded... It's early morning rush hour, with dozens of flights arriving into Gatwick from Africa and the Caribbean, source areas for Class A drugs. Customs officers are on high alert, searching passengers who fit profiles associated with smugglers.
Coming. Okay, I've just x-rayed a passenger's bag and you can see there's clearly 2 rectangular shapes there, so I'm just going to cut the bag open and have a further inspection of what those shapes are.
The passenger told immigration he has no money, will agree to pay all his expenses. It's a story Mike has heard many times before from drug couriers.
You can smell it already, can't you? That's good. Smells all right.
It's well concealed, but Mike thinks he's found a large quantity of cocaine built into the case.
There it is. There's a white paste in there.
The paste tests positive for cocaine.
So, good result.
Let's go, Nick.
10:55, yeah? So I've conducted a test on the bottom of your suitcase, which has shown a white paste. A white paste.
Yes.
Yep, I've conducted a test on it which says it's cocaine. Cocaine, therefore the time is 10:55. I'm placing you under arrest on the suspicion of being involved in the importation of a controlled drug. OK, if you could follow this officer, please. OK. Sorry? Right, well that's all going to be discussed with you later. I will remind you that everything you say will be noted down now, OK?
The attempted importation has failed.
Sit on that seat there for me, please.
And it was a long way from being the perfect crime.
He's got a really duff invitation letter. The grammar of it was awful. There was capital letters mid-sentence. It wasn't very good at all. There was also a signature on the bottom of the invitation letter, and the writing was very, very similar, so I assume that it was written by him himself.
It's a serious crime carrying a maximum of 15 years.
Right. Underpants down. OK, up.
The officers want to find out if anyone else is involved, and the investigations could take some time.
Yeah, right, so that, we've just nicked someone, so there's a good chance I'll be late.
The man initially observes his right to silence, but he soon starts giving information about possible accomplices.
OK, what is the name of the person that's meeting you here today? OK, and what does he look like? Right. OK, how tall or small?
At my height.
About 5'10". Long hair, short hair?
Bald head.
Bald head, like mine?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Mike decides to put out an announcement for the man to come to the information desk to see if they can catch him too.
About 34.
Bald head?
Bald head.
About 5'10".
About 5'10".
If he's involved, it's unlikely he'll fall for the trap, but it's worth a try. In Portsmouth, officers are hunting a possible target vehicle picked out by the intelligence hub.
Unfortunately, it's a bit difficult to actually say whether it's going to be cocaine or heroin or cannabis. What tends to flag more than a specific type of commodity is criminality or suspicion. And from that, you tend to get a job that will fall into one of those categories. It could be, particularly at this time of year with stuff coming up from Africa, it could be anything as bizarre as tortoises.
Drug smugglers are adept at seeming normal, so it's Richard's job to hunt for the incriminating details.
You mentioned about the car, so can you tell me what the situation is with the car, please?
I
Right.
might keep the car here and I might take it back. I don't know.
So you bought it when you were in Libya?
Yes, I did.
It's your own car. Okay, how long have you been, where do you normally live, please?
England.
In England. So how long have you been away for?
2 months.
2 months. And that's your return ticket there, is it? Can I just have a quick look at that, please?
Well, this is a one-way ticket.
Yeah. No, this is the ticket you obviously got for this trip.
Yeah.
Okay, when did you book the ticket, the trip, return trip back? How long ago did you book it? Did you book it when you got to Le Havre today?
I did, yes. Yeah.
Okay, and what's been the purpose of your 2 months away?
I went for Ramadan month.
Yes.
The fasting month to Libya.
Okay.
And then I waited for the car and basically I waited for the car to be ready, then I came in the car.
The long trip and one-way ticket are both reasons to investigate further. And the suspiciously clean interior also makes Richard think the car may have something to hide.
In Tripoli, you flew over there. Let's walk the car. It's not a new car, second-hand car. Middle bought from a dealer, he says.
It's a second-hand car?
That's what he says.
It's got the shrink wrap on it. That's what I thought.
And that's what he says. He said it's not a brand new car, but he said he has bought it from a dealer. So I think it's worth it because he's just polished the car in Tripoli, which is not something that we normally get here, is it? So I think it's worth looking at.
Richard must now tell the man his new car is going to be searched in the specialist rummage bay.
We've got a ramp here, we're going to put on the ramp just so we can look over it more thoroughly than we could do here. We have a waiting room that you can sit in there if you wish to keep warm.
Yep.
Just to let you know what the situation is.
Okay.
We'll obviously deal
How
with
long
this.
is this going to take?
Hopefully, as soon as we can. It's not going to take a long time.
Can I just put my clothes
Absolutely.
back in first?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
so, do you want me to take the car out while I do this, or...?
No, you put
The driver could be annoyed because he has something to hide, but perhaps he's just nervous about having his new car pulled apart. The smuggler caught in Gatwick is now being transferred to the custody cells, where the reality is beginning to sink in.
You just stand in front of that desk for me.
Hello there. Is there anybody that you want telling, a friend or family that may be meeting you or worried where you are?
I would like to call, I would like to let my wife know.
The man is locked up, while the officers out back work out how much he'll be charged with trying to smuggle.
As you saw on the X-ray, there was 2 of these. From what we've got here, we've estimated that the total amount of cocaine could be 2 kilos, which has a street value of about £100,000.
And in the terminal, the person meeting him has answered the announcement and has been arrested. A poorly planned crime has gone wrong on every level.
Could you handcuff Barry?
We've gone to the information desk in the North Terminal, where we've put out a call for the person meeting the courier today, and a gentleman has come forward and said that he was here to meet him. We've subsequently arrested him, and he's been brought here today to the custody suite, and also the driver of the vehicle that was also here to meet him, he has also been brought here, the taxi driver.
All 3 are under arrest and placed in cells for questioning. It's now up to the investigation team to find out who was responsible and ensure a successful prosecution. It's another important seizure, But with all the suspects claiming to know nothing about the cocaine, it could take some time to work out who's guilty. After a long wait for a technical officer to arrive, the driver of the suspect Libyan vehicle is getting annoyed.
Looking through the car.
Yeah, can you just give me an idea how long it's going to take, please?
But I really can't give you.
15 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours, what? I mean,
I would suggest, if we don't find anything, probably half an hour, 45 minutes if we don't find anything.
The car is suspiciously clean, having just driven 2,000 miles from Africa.
This is the problem with the vehicle, it looks too clean. The inside's totally clean.
They need to examine every possible space to ensure it's not being used for smuggling.
We're trying to be as reasonable with you and as polite as we can.
I'll tell you what, the Brits coming in and out of Libya,
yes,
but not a single person gets this treatment.
And hopefully I'll try to explain to you as reasonably as I can as to why we're doing it for. We will look after the car.
The officers are expert mechanics, but this man is clearly very protective of his new car.
Do I look like a drug dealer? Do I?
No. Hey? I'm not a good enough person to really recognise a drug dealer.
You've been doing the job long enough. I mean, surely you should know, shouldn't you?
Not everyone that smuggles is obvious to us.
The whole search takes nearly 2 hours and finds nothing. And the long wait has allowed the angry driver to calm down.
Your car has been looked at. They haven't reduced it to component nuts and bolts or anything like that.
They haven't, have they? Honestly, please assure me.
Honestly, they haven't. So you'll have the car back in a couple of minutes and then put your bags in and we'll let you out the back gates.
Okay,
you'll be away on your way.
All right.
Okay, thanks for your...
I'm sorry if I was a bit abrasive, just...
Don't worry, part of the daily grind that we have to put. Nobody likes their car being put on the rack.
You ever wrecked my car, have you?
You are more than welcome to obviously check it over.
There?
That was there before we got here, though.
It's not so much the delay, it's just the actual... I have no idea what has been taken out of the car and what has been put back in the car. I don't know. It's quite upsetting.
Still to come, officers pay a cigarette dealer a home visit.
We've had information that you may be selling cigarettes from the premises.
She knows that she's done something wrong.
I feel like a terrible thing.
Coming up, a suspected swallower gives a massive hit for cocaine.
345 too.
Take her out the back.
Yeah, I will.
In Bristol, the usual officers have been joined by the National Strike Force to carry out house searches on people suspected of dealing illegal cigarettes. All the intelligence has come from anonymous tip-offs on the Customs confidential hotline.
I've got, I think it's 19 packages from Tobacco NIU. Hopefully it's executed today.
For officers entering suspects' homes, it can be dangerous.
I've been in a situation before where the whole street is sort of come out and had to go, and you don't want to hang around.
No, once you're on the ground. If you don't like it, you're out. So.
It may seem heavy-handed for selling a few cigarettes, but the black market costs the Treasury £2 billion a year.
We're going to this lady in Bristol. Information's been received that she could be selling cigarettes at her home address. Started selling cigarettes in the past 2 weeks and have been dealing Lambert and Butler.
But you've also got to be very mindful with this that a lot of this could be malicious as well, so they could just be a stitch-up.
Many tip-offs are found to be false, so the officers initially go in without a warrant. And that means negotiating permission to search the house.
Hello there, this is not... Hello, I'm from Revenue and Customs. Right, basically we've had information that you may be selling cigarettes from the premises, okay? I'd like to just pop in and have a chat with you about it, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't be simple. I pop a ball of that. I'm in trouble.
Luckily, the woman confesses and lets them in.
Basically, what have you been doing? Your son's brought cigarettes back from holiday. You've been basically selling the cigarettes.
And all the evidence the officers need is sitting on the dining room table.
We need to do a search of that house, if that's okay.
Yeah, there's a few in the front there, which is around. And that's all it is.
Right, okay.
Do you, that made me feel like a terrible thief. I feel like a terrible thief.
And she's obviously a bit nervous. She knows that she's done something wrong. She's got a kitty set up downstairs with all her facts. There's a big suitcase here that shows that somebody travelled to Palma in Spain on the 9th of October. Whether that was her or her son. from. It's a very big case, very typical of a cigarette smuggler's case. Is that your big suitcase up there, the big half-sided one in the spare room?
Well, we all use it, you know.
Right,
You're
all right.
committing an offence by selling these cigarettes, OK? So the goods will be seized from you.
And with perfect timing, a customer turns up to find the shop closed indefinitely.
And the guy just come to the premises and the door is shut.
Oh, right. What, somebody's just come and gone? Looks like we've just had a buyer that's just...
The black market is clearly booming in Bristol. In Gatwick, the Customs Intelligence Hub has given officers information that a drug swallower is coming in from the Caribbean. A girl being questioned at immigration seems suspicious enough for Customs to do a drug swab, which gives a massive hit for cocaine.
3.52.
Morning, madam.
Drug swallowers are often forced into the crime and told not full consequences of a burst package.
She said that she actually came in with someone named Peter. She met him on the beach and he's got all her money, £400, and he's already gone through. So it doesn't look too good, you know.
The suspect has denied taking cocaine, so a positive urine test would suggest she has swallowed drugs.
There's no line by the THC, so she's positive for cannabis. There's no line by the COC, so she's positive for cocaine as well, which would indicate to us that she has cocaine in her system.
The woman will now be arrested and x-rayed for packages.
Ooh, showing up positive for cocaine.
Yeah, okay.
But to the officer's frustration, she's now claiming to have used drugs.
Momento,
just for cocaine, I have taken cocaine.
She has taken it. Right, okay.
She had taken, yeah?
She has taken.
Why didn't she tell me earlier when I put you?
She said I was worried.
She was worried. Right, okay.
But the officers aren't convinced.
So we just want to be sure you haven't got any internal consuming in you.
They suspect she may be pregnant, and so will be taken to a private hospital to have her body scanned safely. That means waiting for another interpreter, and that means putting on the white suit.
Because we've got her on suspicion of swallowing, we always put them in a white suit, because what we'd be concerned of, if she maybe started to pass packages in the cell, whether she may pick them up and harm to herself. Sometimes it might be possible that she could retry and swallow them again. We can see through the suit, that's why we need her in the white suit.
The officers are extremely concerned for the woman's health, and all the signs are pointing to a definite swallower. If so, she'd be looking at a lengthy sentence.
It's a bit concerning because with her original story, when we asked her, she doesn't touch drugs, she doesn't drink. It's then, oh, well, I smoke marijuana, I have taken cocaine. So her story is continually changing. When we take her down, I really wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see packages in her body from the way her story is.
It's a nervous ride to the hospital, which could decide the woman's future. Customs officers also stopped smugglers who tried to bring in drugs using the postal system. In October 2002, a routine parcel exam uncovered a massive haul of drugs hidden in a shipment of doors.
And I recall getting a phone call at home that there'd been a major seizure. Within it, they found holdalls. And examining the holdalls, they found packages which turned out to be a mixture of Class A and B drugs. And I can recall getting a phone call about 2 hours after that to advise me that they had found something else.
In the box were live ammunition rounds and something altogether more frightening.
They came across another box, and you can imagine their surprise when they opened it to find a grenade. And I think everyone stepped back about half a mile.
The decision was made to do a controlled delivery and catch the culprits in the act. But all they had to go on was the consignment address in Devon and a phone number which belonged to Timothy A.
One individual in particular, Timothy A. We conducted surveillance on him over that weekend.
Officers tailed Andrew on the clog for 3 days. Mobile phone analysis identified Andrew in crime, Andrew Grimm. The race was now on to get the package delivered on time. The team replaced all the drugs and ammunition with props and prepared to make the delivery.
The controlled delivery commenced on the Monday morning. One of our officers acted as the T&T delivery driver. He drove it down to the address, the consignment address in Ivybridge. But within the actual consignment, we had placed an audio device, in fact, a number of audio devices.
The officers were hiding, waiting for the right time to strike.
When it became clear that the package was been broken into and been dismantled, I decided at that point that I would call the knock.
50 armed officers stormed the building and found 2 henchmen. Elsewhere, but were still being followed and were arrested. They would plead not guilty. But customs investigators used mobile phone cell tracking information to tie them to the crime scene.
On this occasion and on 4 previous occasions where consignments had gone to that address, but they will be serving at least 15 years.
Back in Bristol, Russ and Jane haven't found any more cigarettes and decide not to prosecute the woman. Instead, they want her to turn informant.
But we can try and get some details about her son, his name. I think we've got to if we can.
Young lad, where's he picking these up for?
No, I'm not getting you into trouble.
Right, you don't want to tell us anything about him then?
Trouble, no.
If you pass on a little message to him, he is in danger of not only losing his cigarettes but losing his vehicle, etc. So it could be quite hefty for him, sir.
I don't know,
Seizing the 9,000 cigarettes, they now want to get out before it turns ugly.
We don't really have the public on our side because the locals think she's providing a service, so people aren't sympathetic to us. So sometimes once people have clocked who we are, it's better to just get the fags and get out, isn't it?
In Gatwick, the suspected swallower is back with the X-rays. She's put back in the cell while the officers take a look at the results.
If she had swallowed something, you would possibly see the shapes of packages. They'd be down here, they can be collected up around here, and there's nothing at all.
Compared to an actual swallower, the difference is clear.
See the package shapes collected down there, whereas that one is totally no shapes whatsoever in that one. It was negative.
It's an anticlimax for the officers, but they're glad she'll be okay.
Take her back up to the south terminal if she wants to, so she could be on her way. Yeah, it's negative. All the way down the line to me, I was thinking, yeah, it's going to be positive. The way she was acting and the things she was saying, but sometimes it happens like